we're gonna fight back.
Releasing women's bodies, making people die.
In the so-called land of the free, abortion is deeply polarising and political.
The United States Congress can change all of this.
Yes, it can.
And it's coming to a flashpoint.
We are not going back.
We are not going back.
Not ever.
Not ever.
Not ever.
Not ever.
Anger spilling onto streets across the country, with tens of millions of Americans on the cusp of losing what many consider a fundamental women's right.
Can you think of any laws that give government the power to make decisions about the male body?
I'm happy to answer a more specific question.
I think it could be overturned, and then it's going to become a war on women's rights again, something that our mothers and grandmothers already did before, and I can't believe that they now have to live through this again.
I think we are influenced by the American movement, and I believe that that threat is escalating.
Abortion was legalised in the US in 1973, but it looks like that could change. A draft leaked from America's highest court suggests it's about to abolish the landmark Roe v. Wade ruling, which guarantees women have the constitutional right to terminate a pregnancy. Dr. Tanya Penovich from the Carsten Centre for Human Rights Law says Australia should be watching very closely.
The forces that we're seeing in the US right now do have the ability to influence laws and policies in Australia. They do have the potential to wind back abortion access, introduce restrictions.
I'm like many Australian women, unfortunately, who has survived domestic violence and lost a child through that experience. And then out of fear, I also made the decision to have an abortion.
Having lived it herself, Melbourne woman Yolanda Vega is trying to get into politics, fighting for women's rights to choose.
Every person should be able to make a decision on how they want to live. We cannot continue traumatising women because they need to make a very serious decision.
Restrictive abortion laws will result in some women risking their health, risking their lives in order to control their own fertility. And it's a very sobering reality to contemplate.
What was it like to have that choice taken away from you, particularly given how you became pregnant?
It was dehumanizing.
At 17, Dina Zerlott's friend raped her in Alabama.
Upon an examination, they discovered I was pregnant. Upon ultrasound, they discovered I was in my 3rd trimester. When they told me that it was too late, that there was no way I could get an abortion in Alabama.
Dina had a baby girl, Zoe, who sadly had a congenital birth defect and passed away just 1 year old.
It's already enormously restricted to begin with, being legal, much less outlawing it in entire swaths of America.
And that's what the country could be looking at. Abortion laws would be up to the individual states, 13 of which have already passed what's being called trigger laws, which will ban abortion once the ruling is officially overturned. Several others already have laws in place, meaning effectively half the country is likely to criminalise abortion.
If women in America today are going to have to go underground to get an abortion, that is not new in Australia. We're seeing that every day in rural and regional areas in Australia where women cannot afford or cannot access, and they are having to go underground.
Why does this matter for Australia? The anti-abortion movement has informed Australian anti-abortion actors, and we've seen similar tactics, similar language used.
Pro-woman, pro-baby, pro-life.
While the Australian public is strongly pro-choice, scenes like these on the streets of Brisbane show abortion is still an issue here.
But now
We've seen attempts to politicise the issue of abortion in Australia too, which is very concerning because healthcare access should not be politicised.
That horse has well and truly bolted in the US. Politics at the heart of what's now unfolding.
Extremism, it kind of comes up from underneath, and by the time, it's happening in your society, it's often too late, like right now.
And from the other side of the world, Yolanda is joining Dina's fight, raising the alarm.
It was women that gave us the vote. It was women that came up with gendered lens budgets, and yet we as women are treated as second-class citizens. That is unacceptable, and that is what I want to change.